Staying home today, yeah. I'm staying home today. I'm a homebody, yeah. I'm a homebody, yeah. I meet nobody cause I'm a homebody, yeah. I'm a homebody, yeah. I meet nobody, I'm a homebody, yeah. I'm a homebody, yeah. I meet nobody cause I'm a homebody, yeah. I'm a homebody, yeah. I meet nobody. Staying home today, yeah. I'm staying home today. I'm a homebody, yeah. I'm a homebody, yeah. I meet nobody cause I'm a homebody, yeah. I'm a homebody, yeah.
Hello class, today we will be covering leadership in small groups. We will be covering specifically the 9 C's of leadership, the managerial leadership grid, and the 5 M's model of leadership effectiveness.
Lee Iacocca, former CEO of the Chrysler Corporation, articulates 9 characteristics that he calls the test of a true leader. He says these characteristics are not complicated or fancy, but just clear, obvious qualities that are necessary for every leader. He defines these characteristics as 9 C's. Lee Iacocca believes that leaders are made in a time of crisis. Leadership is about who we are and how we behave. We can learn to develop our behavior and become more successful leaders. Here are the 9 qualities Iacocca believes are needed for effective leadership. Heidi will start us off with the first one.
So the first C is going to be curiosity. A good leader has to be curious. It allows them to look past their inner circle. They have to look and listen to the outside world, which brings new and different ideas, expanding their knowledge. Now we bring it over to the second C with June.
Thank you, Heidi. A leader has to be creative. Go out on a limb. Leaders need to be willing to try something different. Think out of the box. Leadership is all about managing change. Whether you are leading a company or leading a country, circumstances alter constantly. A leader needs to be adapted and creative deal with those changes.
Yes, nowadays it's so important for leadership to get creative, especially with situations like this with coronavirus and businesses shutting down. A lot of businesses have had to go to their leadership and re-strategize their marketing campaigns, rethink what they're going to do to be able to bring in finances. And a perfect example is the hardware store True Value. So according to www.storebrands.com, they say that True Value is a well-known hardware store who has their own warehouses, and they make paint, they have different things that they sell, but they've actually had to go to the leadership, make the changes, and they dedicated a certain area of their warehouse to actually make hand sanitizer. So they've been able to not only make their own hand sanitizer in bulk, but they've been able to provide it to all of their workers that are still working during these times, and also be able to sell it to the public. And that alone, that creativity from the leadership, has actually saved their company.
Thank you, Ruby. That's a great example. Now we are going to a leader has to communicate. A leader with a vision but who can't communicate will not go far. The ability to make the communication simple is the key to effective leadership. Effective leaders confront realities, even when it is painful to do so. They communicate the truth, suggest strategies to move forward, inviting others to share their ideas and become involved as a part of the solution. A leader has to communicate, talk to people.
An example for communication would be if an employee is performing subpar work or if they are missing deadlines. In this case, you want improvement. You don't want the employee to feel guilt, which may lead to resentment. You should frame your wording to accomplish this goal. You shouldn't scold or reprimand them, but instead you should use a friendly and corrective tone. Instead of saying that their penmanship is terrible or that they're missing deadlines, you could tell them that they can improve their penmanship in this way or that, and make sure that they have a calendar to remind them of when deadlines are. By doing this, you will accomplish more, your intentions will remain clear, and you will preserve morale. For instance, when I was working at the fair at Hot Dog and the Stick, we had an employee who began to make the lemonade incorrectly. Instead of scolding them or getting mad, our superior just simply taught them again and pointed out where they had gone wrong. This was overall beneficial for our group.
The fourth C is character. It's about moral and ethical strengths. A good leader should know the difference between the right and wrong and have the courage to do the right thing. Now I bring it over to the fifth C with June.
All right, thanks, Heidi. A leader must have courage. Courage is widely considered the foremost of virtues, for upon it all others depend. Everyone has fears, but the courageous leader acts in spite of the fear. It is making the tough decisions and being open to the team on things that are not going well. Courage truly enables the leader to take calculated risks, protect the downside, and take risks. It is the ability to act in the face of uncertainty. Swagger is not courage. Tough talking is not courage. Courage in the 21st century doesn't mean posturing and bravado. Courage is a commitment to sit down at the negotiation table and talk. Let's throw it back to Heidi.
Thanks, June. The sixth C is going to be conviction. It's about getting things done, setting goals, and planning accordingly. The seventh C is going to be charisma. It's about being an inspiration, being truthful, and getting an example so that they want to follow you. Bring it over to Kayla, who's going to give us an example of charisma.
An example of this would be Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech. The speech provides a subordinate vision of the future in which the leader wants everyone to accomplish something together.
Thanks, Kayla. So now I bring it over to the eighth C, which is going to be competent. It's about getting things done, not only getting it done right, but also successfully. You need to keep up with the knowledge scale and the outside world. Now we bring it over to the ninth C, which is going to be with June.
As Heidi said, will be the last C. That is common sense. You can't be a leader if you don't have common sense. As someone said, common sense is not common. This is a very important trait for all top leaders to possess. Once you move up to your career, you are going to face one problem after another, and it is important to use your common sense and ingenuity to solve day-to-day problems. If you don't have common sense, you lose your touch with reality, and also your people don't have the confidence that you are solve the problems at their level. Having common sense enables you to see the big picture and the immediate picture as well. According to Merriam-Webster, common sense is about the exercising sound and prudent judgment based on a simple perception of the situation or facts. The whole point of developing common sense is to ensure you simplify situations and eliminate barriers in communication. As Scott Fitzgerald said, the test of first-rate intelligence is the ability to hold two opposite ideas in mind at the same time and still retain the ability to function.
LaGuardia joined Chrysler in 1978 and announced a quarterly loss. It was manageable, but it lacked organization, discipline, and structure. LaGuardia visited every Chrysler site and saw how employees felt and came up with the new plan. When the employees saw LaGuardia's 9 C's, they felt inspired, making an enormous contribution to the American economy.
In today's competitive, depressed economy, ICOCA's story is inspiration. Try applying his 9 C's of leadership. Always do your best.
Okay guys, we are going to get into our class activity now. Our class activity is going to be a reflection on yourselves and your previous group presentation members. You're going to try to identify leadership skills in that group or in yourselves. Behavioral theories, there were studies done on leadership at the Ohio State University. These studies showed that there were a concern for tasks and relationships and that they were associated with leadership.
Thank you, Angel. So along with those studies came about the managerial leadership grid theory. Now this theory came about by Robert Blake and Jane Newton, which created the actual grid, which is an axis. This axis has a vertical line and of course a horizontal line. The vertical line is numbered 1 through 9, and this shows the level of concern for people. And the horizontal axis is numbered 1 through 9, and that shows the concern for task. And 1 being the least concern and 9 being the most concern. So there's a total of 7 leadership styles that we're going to talk about, and we're also going to be letting you know what their conflict management style is as well, according to that leadership style. Angel will start us off.
For the first leadership style, it is team management, and this is scored at 9-9 on the grid, and this is where the leader takes high concern for the task and the people in the group, and they have mutual respect for each other. There's a strong goal orientation, they have trust, and if conflict arises, they figure out a solution together. For the second leadership style on the grid, it is authority compliance, and this style is scored at 9-1. The leader has high concern for the task, but low concern for the relationships. The group members are not involved with each other, and it's pretty much a 50-50 on the work, so it can go very well or it can go very bad. And this is where, like, when there's conflict, the leader is going to resort to competing.
Thank you, Angel. So next we're going to talk about our third leadership style, which is called middle of the road. And this leadership style is just what it sounds like. It's right in the middle of the grid, and it's scored at 5-5, meaning that this type of a leader, they have a moderate concern for tasks and a moderate concern for relationships with people. Usually in a leadership style like this, you'll see that there's not a strong commitment to the overall goal, which can cause the results to actually be mediocre as well. They also like to see that everybody is somewhat satisfied. It's not fully satisfied or everybody's like, you know, going for it and they're happy with the results, but everybody will be somewhat satisfied. Also, when conflict arises, this leadership style will usually try to compromise just so that everybody feels like they're somewhat satisfied. It's okay. It's an okay type of leadership. So our next one that we're going to talk about is called country club management. This is the fourth leadership style. Now, country club management on the managerial grid is scored at 1-9, meaning that this type of leader has a very, very low concern for tasks, but a really high concern for relationships with people. And a group like this usually see them more focused on the fun and, doing fun things together and relationship building, but they're not really focused on the task at hand. This can actually be pretty dangerous because things won't get done. It can work in some situations, but it can also be a very dangerous thing. Also, this leadership style, when conflict arises, they'll use accommodation, meaning that when something takes place, they'll go ahead and make sure that everybody is accommodated, that everybody feels good on their end. So it's all about the feel good rather than getting the actual things done. So Julie's going to give us an example of what this looks like.
For example, Group 1 has a class assignment that is an important task and with a deadline. If no one cares about the task and only are focused on having fun, task won't get done. No good. Group 2 are classmates deciding what movie to watch. All members trust the leader of the group. The decision of what movie to see is not super important. They trust the leader of the group, so it's okay that no one is involved with making the decision because there's nothing at stake. This group goal is just for fun.
So for the fifth leadership style on the grid, it is impoverished management, and this style is scored at 1-1. The leader has low concern for the task and the people in the group, so there is no influence in the group, there's no goals that they have, so there's pretty much nothing getting done, so there's not going to be any success. When conflict arises, the leader will avoid it, so he will just avoid the situation. So with that being said, we are done with our first 5 leadership styles, so we are going to move on with the skit with Heidi.
Thank you, Angel. Out of these first 5 styles, there are 2 extremes that will be shown in a skit.
I'm sick. I don't feel very good. I might get coronavirus.
Yeah, it's totally fine. I get it. If you don't feel good, you just stay home and get better. It's totally fine. You can catch up when you come back, and I'll help you out. Yeah. Okay, bye.
Kayla, I'm having some trouble with this assignment. I don't understand the instructions. They seem unclear, and I don't really know where to go with my part. I would really appreciate it if you could help me.
Yeah, it's totally fine. Don't ever be shy to ask for help. Yeah, I'll get some of the other group members and we can help you out.
Terrible warning to all you slackers. What work have you managed to bumble and slack off on today?
What should I do? We only have 2 weeks and some words I never learned is new words I don't understand and some paragraph is hard to understand.
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna finish my part of the project just yet. Yeah, I think I have a fever. I think it's just best if I stay home and try to get some rest and feel better.
I don't care. I don't want to hear it. Listen, I'm getting a promotion in 2 days, so I don't really care about your problems. This project means absolutely nothing to me. So here's the deal. I'm going to leave and I'm not going to listen to you anymore. And I don't care if you don't get your, what was it again? Raises. Ugh. See you later.
As you can see, team management was able to make adjustments and be considerate to the other group members. The impoverished management didn't show any consideration for others. This group was most likely not be able to complete the assignment because they lack cohesion and interdependence.
Thank you, Heidi. So a few years later, there was 2 more leadership styles that were added to this theory, and this actually came from Blake, Mouton, and Allen. in order to create these last two. They notice that the sixth leadership style is paternalism and maternalism. It's very similar to team management because it's 9 plus 9. It's not 9 like team management, but it's 9 plus 9. This means that this leadership style, they have a very high concern for the task, a very high concern for the relationships with the people, but these types of leaders use rewards for accomplishments and also punishment for failures. So it's like what it sounds like. It's paternal and maternal. They kind of take like that parent role, and they try to reward. They assume that the people in their team, in their group, need to be rewarded in order to form loyalty and commitment, and that they need to be punished in order to learn how to do things the right way. So this can be a good thing sometimes because the group can be close-knit and they can really care about each other, and they're a close group, but it could also backfire. Now, the backside to this is that when you reward your group like that, or you punish them like if they were children, this can create group members that don't actually form true commitment or form true loyalty to the overall goal, because they're just in it for their rewards, or they know that if they don't do a good job, they're going to be punished. So they can form a really immature perspective towards the overall goal. So that's one of the dangers to that as well.
So for our last leadership style, it is opportunism, and this style has a multiple leader, so it can be scored as 5-5 with the leader seeing all the people in the group equal, or it can be 1-9 where he sees some people in the group less important, or 9-1 or he looks toward those that have authority. So this style is pretty much.
So how do we know which style is the best? Now, it's been said that the best type of leadership is 9-9 because, of course, they have the high concern for people and the high concern for tasks. But actually, there's so many different types of groups that it really just depends. It depends on the type of group that you're in and what the goal is. If it's just for fun, or do you have a major task at hand, a deadline, like what is the group for? What's the overall purpose? So there's really not one that we can say is the best, but the bias is leaning towards team management 9-9. But just know that some of these can actually work in different types of situations. It just depends. So now we're going to be hearing more from Kayla about the 5M model of leadership effectiveness.
To start off the 5 M's, I'm going to start with model leadership. As a leader, it is important that you are confident, positive, and encouraging. Being those three things not only helps you and your group's performance, but it also ensures that your group members can trust you. The next M is motivate. A leader should always acknowledge and support any accomplishment made by the group. By the leader doing that, it helps boost the confidence of the group members and also help with group cohesion.
Thank you, Kayla. Now we will move on to number 3, manage group process. It is important that a great leader is organized and consistent. It is also important that a great leader talks with their group members and discerns their strengths and weaknesses. For instance, when I became the leader of my group, I made sure to talk with each of them individually and ask them what they felt like their strengths and weaknesses were, so that I could pair them up with assignments that went with their skills. Next, we have making decisions. It is important that a leader listens to outside ideas and opinions, and also lets a group know when they have made a final decision. For instance, we will use D&D. In D&D, you have the DM, who more or less functions as a leader, and you have several party members. During these sessions, the DM will normally have a story or a plan that they wish to follow, but it's important that as they try to implement this plan, they listen to what the other players want and what they're doing, and change the story to what the players are asking for. That way it ensures a more fun experience for everyone. On the other hand, once the DM makes a decision, it's important that they don't go back and change that decision. Not only does that muddle the story and make it less fun for everyone, but also it can feel like you're giving preference to a certain member just because you like them. Last but not least, number 5, Mentor members. It is important that a good leader helps members to relate and feel comfortable, as well as encourages members to be more vocal. This is important as it strengthens the group as a whole, making sure that ideas that would not have been heard are expressed to the group. It is much more common with members that are older or have more experience, as they will have more relevant information to pass on. For example, in my group, I personally don't feel that it's my place to mentor members unless they specifically ask me for it, as I feel that we are more or less on the same level, and many of them are even better at me than at many things. And in conclusion, that is our presentation. We covered the 9 C's of leadership, going over characteristics that help make a leader a very strong leader. Then we went over the managerial leadership grid, which gave us a way of categorizing leadership styles based off of what they prioritize. And last, but certainly not least, we covered the 5 M's model of leadership effectiveness, where we covered how certain actions of leaders help them to be more or less effective in a group.
Oops.